Welcome, guys. This is Truth Findings podcast. With me here, I have my parents. We want to know them, how we met, and everything we want to know. Yeah.
Yes.
Welcome.
Hey, hi.
Thanks,
Hi.
Daniel.
Thanks, Samuel, for having us.
Yeah.
Thank
It's
you.
a first for me.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
Can you tell us who you are, how we met, and just take us through?
Well, I'm Tom.
I'm
This
Elaine.
is Elaine. And we traveled to Africa first in 1988 on business. And the way I say it is, we fell in love with the country then. We came back in 2004 with our children, and we say we fell in love with the people. Yeah. At that point, we started coming more often to Kenya, with Elaine really taking the lead, and so you take it from there.
We showed up at Tumaini in 2008. We're on another mission trip, or a mission trip for another children's home, but we visited Tumaini, and immediately somehow Tom, our daughter Maggie, was with us. They disappeared, and I had two escorts just cling to me, Charles and Samuel. And after that, they showed me the entire campus, showed me their room, showed me their rabbits, animals like chickens, and anyway, just stole my heart. So that was the start. Two young boys. I think you were about 12.
Yeah, sure. It was a very wonderful time meeting you guys that time. That time I had how many rabbits? I had two of them, but the one had given birth to 12 babies.
Mm-hmm.
So I remember showing you guys.
You were happy.
He was making what do we call it? They were making something, a project with the water. Then at the tank, water tank. So then we went to the field.
So we did. Yes,
Yes.
yes,
It
yes.
was a very wonderful time. Yeah, I remember.
Well, I had, at the time I had a pet rabbit, and so I said, "Oh, you have a pet rabbit?"
Yes.
And you said, "No." And I said, "What do you mean?" And you went, "Yum yum."
Yeah, yes,
I went,
it's meat.
"Oh no,
It's
Yeah, and I was
meat
like,
here.
Yes, it's meat."
Yes.
So that was my first education
Mhm.
of different animals than we.
Yeah.
But some people do eat rabbits, so
Yes.
that wasn't totally foreign.
When I completed grade 8, I slaughtered the male one.
That'd be
Then
tough.
I took with together with my friends.
You're braver
We
than
celebrated.
I would be.
We celebrated.
But you were
Yeah.
hungry. You were hungry.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
celebrated with it.
Yeah.
So guys, from there, you have come so many times to Kenya.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe you can what have you learned from your first visit to Kenya and so far? So anything you have seen in terms of in terms of culture? Is there any cultural thing you have learned? And
That probably is the hardest. It's a very different culture than the U.S. Some things are better and some things are not. And I think the hardest part from our culture is the family unit. The male does not always take care of the family, and many times the mom is left with many children with no way to feed them or earn a living. And so there's just children without what they need. Sometimes can go to school, sometimes cannot. So for me, it's the children aspect of not being cared for. So that's the cultural part that is hard for me, but I love the warmth I always feel, the smiles, the welcome atmosphere. So there's a lot of good here. Yeah, so I like that. Yeah.
that's nice.
So
The thing I remember most as we became at first tourists of Kenya, but then felt like Kenya was our second home, was the feeling that we love the beauty of the country. We love the altitude of the area, being on the equator, but yet being high enough that it's not so hot. and it just is very different than where we are. So I really enjoyed that part of it. But in the middle of all of that natural beauty, the people that we met had a beauty and a peace amongst themselves, because their religious beliefs, their beliefs in things that are right and wrong were simple, but at the same time so clear to them. In America, that you go home and you feel like, well, it's so complicated and so unclear. It's a shame, because it makes you realize how stronger your faith can be, how stronger the understandings of some things are. And I would go home and think, it can be that simple for us too. The other part of it was seeing people that you thought education meant certain things, but then you would run into young men who could speak, 2 languages or 3 languages, and then they understood the sometimes the geopolitical world that we lived in so much better than I did, because they just had a better perspective. And so I love coming to Kenya for so many reasons.
Kenya is a wonderful country.
It is. It's
very
warm and
beautiful.
loving.
With
It is.
beautiful culture,
Yeah.
beautiful wildlife.
And it wasn't so caught up on how much you had. If you had a place to sleep and eat, and you were comfortable, and you had your family, you were okay. And it's very much not that way in the U.S. Although I will say this visit, I'm starting to see that culture come in. There's a lot of growth in Naivasha, a lot of growth in Nairobi, a lot of malls and things coming. So I wish y'all wouldn't pick that part up.
There are things that sometimes you say, that reminds me of American influence that I wish wouldn't creep its way in, because it sounds good, but it may not be for the best thing that you pick up.
There's so much people are learning from the West and trying to integrate into our culture. So much.
Yes.
And some good, some bad. We appreciate. Some like right now the much more of introduction of artificial intelligence, learning more, and that's knowledge we appreciate. Though in some way it's being used on bad things. So it's
Worldwide.
you value, you weigh the value. Is it something that value can be helpful to us? Can you tell us how now you have seen the growth in us, or your kids, Charles and I, from how we met now to see us now trying to figure it out and taking responsibilities and going to the next step of life. Have you seen that growth?
Absolutely. I'll start with you. So when we first met Samuel, I could barely hear him. He would talk, and I was like, I have no idea what he said, because I couldn't really hear him. Very shy and quiet, but always smiling.
Sure.
So yes, you're much more confident. To do this, you have to be, right? Responsible. That is something you and Charles both. Tom and I feel blessed that through this process of trying to support you as you got through school or left Tumaini and went through school, and then tried to find a way to earn money with a job. You always appreciated and did with anything we were to donate with what you were supposed to do. And if we were to check in on something, you were always good about giving us information, and we knew that you were using funds as they should be. And from that, you got your education, and now you're able to do, your audio visual things for here and then for GOA. So not only have you been, a good steward of money from us, but you also are a worthy employee with GOA. You're showing up and you're going to work. You're taking care of yourself. You have a place to live. You have a nice apartment,
Mhm.
and you've grown tremendously.
Yeah.
And I can understand you so good now. So, and we've just loved the growth of the relationship, and how even though we're many miles apart,
Mhm.
we still feel you're part of our family, and our family hears about you. Um, yeah, just super proud.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
And you, Dad?
I think the watching someone turn in from a maybe closer to a child than a boy, turn from a child to a boy, and then transition to a young man is one of the proudest things somebody can see happen to another individual. And the transition, so that from, trying to understand who you were, so many years ago, to what possibly could you hope for, to what possibly could you be, to say, oh my goodness, he's already doing things that I thought were impossible to do, and now his attitude, your attitude, and your ambitions are balanced, but yet now becoming unlimited.
Yeah.
You know you can do things,
Yes.
and you know you're capable of doing things, and that is just from my perspective, from our perspective as parents, that for our children and now our grandchildren to be able to see them grow and evolve and be capable of doing what they want to do is a huge blessing. It's what really makes life valuable to us.
That's good.
And Charles too. Charles has always been receptive, and we haven't seen him as much lately because he left Kenya for Turkey and is working to take care of himself in a better way. So we're proud of him for that, but we haven't seen him in a long time. So we miss that. But he also has a great smile, quiet, not as talkative as you, but always has good things to say. So yeah, it's been an education for us in such a positive way. So we are thankful.
And we talked about it that in 2008 it was Samuel and Charles. You two were a pair. And then over the years, Samuel and Charles became just Samuel and just Charles. And now you've grown together through the early days, through your college days, and now that you both are employed and doing things, it's very different.
Yeah.
So we no longer talk about Samuel and Charles, but we talk about Samuel, and then we talk about Charles. And it is a good thing that you're now finding your way in the world, and you're finding your way. Which is different than his way, but you both have that bond of friendship and family that no matter what, we're all in this together, even though we may all go in different directions over the years ahead.
One more thing too, I've thought about too, we could keep up. Now it's easier to communicate than it used to be, but we didn't get, now we can WhatsApp, and we could even FaceTime and see faces. We didn't used to be able to do that, but everything that you had to do on your own, and you didn't have somewhere to go on the weekend to recover. I think about our children as they went to college. We may not see them for a month or so, but they knew if they needed a break, they had somewhere to come, and you and Charles didn't. I know you had friends and you may have had somebody, but you didn't have a family home to go back to. So I think your success working through that had to be very difficult, and you've done an amazing job.
And we're very proud of you for doing that. It would have been a lot easier not to have been successful as you've been, and the fun part for us is to sit here knowing that it's just beginning, that you are just cracking open the opportunities of your life. And the things that you will be doing over the next months and years ahead are going to be very different and very exciting for you. Scary sometimes, because there will be risks that you will have to decide what to take. There'll be big steps that you'll have to decide to take. But you now have the ability, I can see it in your eyes, that you have the ability to go take those chances so that you can live the life that God intended for you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
Thank you. We love you.
Yeah. So We have gone straight to just talking about our friendship, our relationship together. But maybe someone who doesn't know you and they are part of they are part of the community who are watching. Maybe you can just, not everything, but you can just tell us something about you or about you as a couple.
Probably a lot, but
Something.
Tom and I have been married since 1981. So this year will be 44 years, right?
Yeah, a long time.
A long time. We have 4 children, Matt, Blake, Haley, and Maggie. And Matt is 41, Blake is 40, Haley is 36, and Maggie is 33. They all are married, so now we have 4 great in-laws, and we have 9 grandchildren, 5 boys and 4 girls. So that is where we love spending our time. We love our family, and that's always been my focus, and now I get to enjoy another generation coming. So I've always been a stay-at-home mom. I've had jobs working at a substitute teacher in preschool, and those still kid focused, but my main focus has been at home. So originally from Georgia, born in Georgia, and now we've moved to South Carolina 12 years ago. So we're enjoying that, which is sort of to be close to the family.
A piece of the story though that I think would be important to say, and I think interesting to others, would be that Elaine and I met in college at Georgia Tech. The Georgia Institute of Technology is in Atlanta. It is a public school in the state of Georgia. It's where we were both from. It was a local school for us, and so we both went there. But we both were active there. I played football and she was a cheerleader. And so we met at Georgia Tech. We got married soon after we both graduated from Georgia Tech. And so that's the Georgia Tech part of it has always been a key piece of our story. Part of what the good comes from Georgia Tech is a very good school. And so there was an expectation that you would do things when you got out. But over time, that we've learned the most important thing that we value is our family. That we've always been family oriented. We're probably more family oriented than ever. It dominates the things that we do and the choices that we make, and it's important that we now, I guess, tell you that we have been through the changes over our life where we thought this would make us successful. But now we understand that it's not the houses or the cars or the money part of it that matters. It's the people that you love and the people that love you that really make a difference in your life. And so we're old enough now that we value that more than anything. And that's what we find with you and with Charles and with David and Kezia that we consider to be our Kenyan family.
That's good. And maybe you can tell us what is your biggest fear in life? Biggest fear, like maybe it can be something, it can be anything.
It's hard. I feel like with strong faith in God and all He has prepared for us, I don't fear a lot of things. I probably fear more personal choices than something happening to me out the door. But I find it hard. Sometimes it's hard. It's harder to take care of yourself than it is to look after others. And there's some things I would like to do that I haven't done in life. I've always I don't know if I was scared, and they're not really big things, but I'm trying to be brave and do those things. So now that I've got time and freedom to do that, I hope I can. So just do the things that might make you feel uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
That's a great answer.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
I won't say what it is because then I would be held accountable.
I know.
Then you might ask, did you do it?
You can tell us.
Yeah.
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 I look back in time. My biggest fear goes back to my youth and my growing up. I think I had a fear of failure. I think I always thought that, how did I know for sure that I would be successful doing things, whether it was in, very young in sports and football. Is like, how am I supposed to be successful doing what I do? I don't know if I'm possibly capable of doing it. And so I worked hard, probably more out of fear than out of ambition. And then as I got into the working world, I worked hard, again, probably more out of a fear of failure than an ambition to be successful. And so as life has evolved, and I've looked back and said, well, it's all worked out pretty well. I'm thankful for a wife that supported me at times when I probably didn't deserve to be supported. And I look at children that turned out better than they probably should have with what I did to raise them. And now I look at it as I don't have a fear of myself anymore, but now I have that little bit of fear in myself that says, now I worry about them being successful, and I want them to be happy and healthy, but not afraid of failure, because it's okay. It will all work out the way it's supposed to. And you don't necessarily have to have an expectation of, it has to work out this way or I'm a failure. It'll work out. So
I love that.
That's true.
I love that. This is strong.
I would say the only, not a fear, but maybe it's going back to another question, but I think about the beginning, when we first came to Kenya, we were Kenya and Tanzania in '88. When we were preparing to come, I had heard an underdeveloped country and I didn't know what to expect. And when I got here, exactly what Tom said, I'm like, our tour guide could speak, his native tongue, Swahili and English, and probably more. And I thought, okay, so who knows more? And then as we got more acquainted with the country, just the simple, not just simpleness in a negative way, but just the calmness of life. Also, your faith in God was so strong, and I think of, okay, we've been blessed with a lot of things, and you are not, but your faith in God is so much stronger. It really shook me, and so when I had an opportunity to go back to Kenya in 2007 with a group called Heart for Africa, I traveled there, and I was like, I really feel a calling to be there. And I'd have some people say, well, there's people that need help in the country. And I said, well, I know that. And I try to do things locally, and I can't explain to you why I want to go there. But between South Africa and Kenya, I looked at it, especially looked at children. And I said, children they can't take care of themselves. And they have no future if somebody doesn't help. And I know there were local people willing to do it, but they couldn't do it by themselves. So the tug of the heart was, as long as I could help, that would be, why I would be here. And that's kind of it in a nutshell.
How you guys believe, like, from the group Heart for Africa, then just I don't know how you followed, how, like,
destiny.
These
two guys. I don't think I explained that. That's right. Charles and Samuel captured me that day at Tumaini. We started a minimal monthly support.
Yeah.
Then we get a call. I don't know. We'd seen them a couple times in between. As they hit 18, they call frantically and say, "I'm aging out of Tumaini," and they say they're kicking us out in a few months. And we were like, "Oh my goodness." But thankfully, we had a good friend who we had met through our Heart for Africa Day, David Kariuki, and he had also been through similar situations. So we called him. He knew Charles and Samuel, and we were able to help find a place for you to go. And we got into a couple of colleges, universities. Charles went to one, and you went to another, and you finished your degree, both of you. and the rest has been up to you.
Yeah.
And you've done the rest on your own. So it was kind of a scary time for all of us because we were like, I don't know. And you're like, I mean, they're just going to put us out and we're going to be on the streets of Kindergarten. So anyway, you took it and you did something with it, and it was all you.
I remember that day. You guys came with the first day you came to Tumaini. You came with several buses, and then you were the last to step out of the bus.
Oh, really?
Yes, and we were there
And
standing.
it just spoke to you?
Yeah, we were there standing with Charles, and I told him, I think we should greet her. No one, I think the other kids have ran to the first people who came out, and you had no one to just to show you around and to say hi.
I didn't know that.
I told him, hey, I think we should say hi to her.
Oh, you
Then
did.
We went down the stairs and we met you there.
You showed me your bumps and everything.
To around.
Yeah.
My bed and everything with the rabbits. Then that was the start of everything.
It was a good relationship.
Yes. I also remember the time you guys came when we were in almost to do our final exams in primary school. Is it primary school? High school. 2014. We were almost doing our exams, and I remember there's a picture. You I think you were captured trying to take our story, and that time I remember trying to just to come back to my senses and how will life now be? If now we finish these exams, what will we do? Then we obviously know our grades. You know, you can measure yourself and you know how you are performing. It will not take a miracle for you to just be on top. So we knew the performance we did with Charles. I obviously know we will just end up almost the same grade or just few points ahead. So we were worried, how will this be? And the GOA had just said they don't have funds. So we were trying to see how this
what's gonna happen.
And I remember you gave us a book. The big book.
Yeah.
I was saying that time I want to be. I said I want to agricultural economics. Then Charles wanted.
You said to be a pilot. You
Pilot was
jet
the
pilot.
first one.
Yeah,
Pilot was
jet
the first
pilot.
one. Then Charles wanted to do something with architecture. You want to be an architect.
That's right.
Then after the grades came out, then we had to, you know, here in Kenya you are shaped by the performance of your grades. Now that you pursue in college. So at that time you gave us your username, how you call yourself on Facebook.
Yeah.
Then that's now we
how we communicate. Yeah, we communicate. I could see what you were up to.
Yeah.
So then you said probably not an architect or a pilot.
Now I'm the architect of my life. Now I have to decide what I want to do.
You're where you're supposed to be.
Yeah. So, but something struck my mind later when I was growing up, and the guy who used to do videos for GOA, he often could come and pick kids. And they could point at me. He is supposed to talk. Then I don't know how to talk in English. Then I wondered how people usually picked me. Then I remember I now relate how God was preparing me to just do what I'm doing today. Just because that time I couldn't even talk well in English. And I couldn't even express myself, but people in my peers, in my class, and everyone was saying I'm the one to give a vote of thanks to visitors. I'm the one to just say something. The welcome remarks. You guys, you don't know how I'm struggling, man. Then that time, after picking this course and doing that, and now I look at a lot in GOA, going to students' homes, telling them how they should, educating them about how the importance of talking about their story, a story is the ultimate value. So I came back to my senses and I realized God was preparing me to do this for these kids. Now,
Because you're out in
yes,
front. Yeah.
yes, I didn't
yeah.
have that confidence to talk, and at some point I actually see myself in these kids. Because when I visit, for example, in Tumaini, we have around 100 kids, so you'll find a kid similar characteristics the way I was. I was very shy. I didn't want to talk to people so much. So I'll just go and encourage him.
Yeah.
You will
Yeah,
be great. You will be great. Just find something. If it's all about soccer, just find something you can do.
And we could tell that when we went back last time we visited and we went and they sang happy birthday to
Yes,
you.
yes.
Yeah, they were so
and
excited.
they were actually, they didn't know that Mary was my girlfriend. I don't know whether you told them, and they were like, wow,
Kai's birthday.
I didn't want to show them, but
they wanted to sing for you.
yeah,
They had a fan club.
Yeah, when now I see all that coming, like it's like connecting the dots. Like now it
feels right.
Yeah, it's now I see those dots, how God wanted me to do. Because that time, that guy, he was called Henry. He used to come often to take videos, to take pictures. I actually at some point I could hide under the bed.
Did you?
I don't want to.
Yeah, you don't want to do it.
I don't want to talk on camera.
But somebody you saw that day too was like, oh, I might could come do take pictures, because you were taking a ton of pictures.
Yes.
Yeah, so I could do that.
I just developed that confidence, and when you came now, I told Charles, let's go and say hi to her.
Yeah, it worked. It did. It was a good day. I was like, oh.
It's a very long time ago now.
It was a long
and
time
it's
ago.
A lot has happened. A lot of good things have happened.
Probably 16 years. Is that right? Yeah. Wow.
So many years.
Yeah. And look, I'm so glad where we are.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
I am.
Yeah.
I'm so proud of myself.
Yes, you should be.
Yeah, and I'm thankful to God for allowing us to connect and to be in one's life.
Yeah.
So it means a lot.
Yes. To me too. Another turning point was one of our visits when you and Charles were showing me where you slept, and you had a locker, and it was both of your things in one locker. And you said, is when you said we are brothers, and I didn't think you were biological brothers anyway, but you said we are not biological, but we are like brothers.
Yeah.
And so you showed me the things in your container, and there's one of our Christmas cards from a couple years before, and it was like, oh my goodness, he saved it. So I'll keep sending them.
I remember we used to put our shopping at the one foot locker.
Yeah.
And Charles has been my friend since he joined, because I could see myself through him, because he's not that talkative guy. He's quiet, but he was very, very, very smart. He was very smart. He used to write essays in high school and in primary school, so that we used to correct them composition, but they are called essays. So he used to be very, very, very good in writing, and also maths. So mathematics was very smart. So often I could ask him about the maths.
Help me.
And we developed that friendship. Like there was a day, I remember, Charles came from their place, Naivasha, and he came with very, like, those shoes, the smart, those beautiful shoes, and I could borrow them to go for camping sometime, and to go for symposium. I like, and it was and a very white shirt.
Oh.
Yes, I remember that.
You like to dress.
Yes. So I could borrow sometime. So we just developed that friendship, and he was a good brother, and he has been a good brother. Yeah.
Still is, even though he's far.
Yeah. Charles, wherever you are,
we miss you.
We miss you.
You're here.
You are bro.
Yeah.
So apart from that, I can maybe mention a few things maybe I've learned from you guys. The way you have shown that love, growing up in a children's home. You have a person we call dad, but often we don't relate them as dads because you see them as the manager. You see them actually that's the name they are called manager, home managers. Because so you don't have that one-on-one with a father figure person or a mother figure person. So you come into our lives, it means a lot. It means a lot to me, Charles, and everybody else.
Well, when did so you lost your dad first, right?
Yes, yes. I can't even remember him because I never saw him. So according to my brothers, they say we were my sister Ruth and I we were very little, so we can't remember him. But I saw him in the picture. I have a picture of him being baptized.
And what happened to him?
I think it's our. I don't think.
Did he leave the family or you
No,
got sick?
no. Actually he sat on the seat and rested.
Oh, and just had a heart attack maybe or something.
He was not taken to the hospital after that. He was not taken to mortuary. He was they placed some charcoal, some wet charcoal, and they placed him. So according to my elder brother Daniel, he was telling me that I used to pour some in turn pour some water, some cold, but I can't remember. I can't remember that.
Yeah.
So that's the memory I maybe. But
and your mother.
My mother, I have a lot of memories with her because before we joined Tumaini, she used to be a member of GOA Church. That's when the church was being just a few years it was started, and she was not she had not made her mind where to take us, maybe to a community center, rescue center, or to Tumaini. Tumaini was not started that time.
Well, your mom was sick, and she knew she was sick, right?
Yeah, she knew. She knew she was, but that information I didn't know. Back in Tumaini, I found some documents. I don't know how they had written, but how I came to understand that she had pneumonia. Because the place is so cold. So she succumbed to pneumonia. But in the files it was written something else that I didn't do well. Actually, I confronted them. So the memories I have with my mom, it's quite immense because we used to sit around the fire, talk. She could talk about how how they lived in the previous times, and how they could struggle with the white settlers and the highlands. And the place Kinango used to be a Peredra plantation. So the whole of that, it was a plantation. They could farm for those people, and they could be paid with a packet of
So
food.
it was productive.
Yeah. So those are stories that we could listen as we gather around. So, and some point she could send us to the shop. Though my brother Joseph was more of cunning because at times we could not, he could influence me not to go, or we could go and watch movies. There are some shops.
Shops would have something on.
Yeah, where people just gather, they watch movies. Right now everyone has screens on their houses, but that time no many households could afford TVs. So many people could go to a shopping center and they gather, and the person who has a screen there. You pay so that you
to
watch a movie.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
so at times my brother could influence me to go.
To go.
And then we realized it's late. We have not gone where we were sent.
Uh-oh.
There was a day we slept outside.
Oh, waiting for it to open the next day.
Yeah,
Oh,
we
no.
went to the back of a truck, and there was some hay. You know, the hay for
Yeah.
yeah. We spent the night
Spend the night on the hay.
It was so cold.
You froze.
Yeah, in the morning, and some guy who wanted to ignite the truck had some guy's coffee in the back, and he came and he switched on the torch and he saw us.
Oh, was it? Oh,
yeah,
bad.
yeah. In the morning, he took us to our place.
And your mom was wondering where you were.
Yeah, you know, in African culture, African women, they didn't bother so much because they have so many kids. So they actually didn't bother so much where you are. Finally, you will come back home. So we were brought in the morning, and I had wet my side.
Yeah.
So it was a bit shaky.
Yeah.
It was a very nice experience with my mom. But later when we went she took us to Miami. We realized now we have to build now the community. The kids now came, and we got a new family. So she could often visit with some small dish with food.
Yeah.
Then we could share amongst those kids.
That was probably hard.
They came, and the place was congested. Then we moved to the bigger place where mine now is.
Oh yeah, I see
that.
So that's how she took care of you.
Yes,
she knew she wouldn't be around.
She took care of us.
Yeah, that had to be hard though.
Yeah, and I remember at some point she could take us to church, and we used to pray the Lord's Prayer. Yeah, that's where I learned about the Lord's Prayer in our local language.
Yeah.
So
that is
I have more memories of my mom than my dad because I didn't actually see him. But I know he played a very big role. Yeah. So thank you guys for coming to play that role in my life as well as Chad's life. I know
it's been a blessing for us too.
Yes. Thank you.
Well, thank you for trusting us and allowing us to be a part of your life.
I appreciate so much. And I know there's so much more. So much more.
You could keep going. You could keep going.
Yes.
I was gonna say, I forgot this.
We'll do it again.
That's good. That's good. This is what you do. Yeah.
Thank
you learned a lot. You're welcome. You're so welcome.
Thank
you. Thank you.
Subscribe, and share.
Oh, there you go.
Subscribe to podcast. What's the name of your podcast?
Truth Findings.
Truth Findings.
Truth Findings.
Truth Findings. Subscribe here.